Fitness Longevity Podcast, where we help you get fit, feel younger, and live better. Just back from a great vacation down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where it was super hot weather, a lot of humidity, and some really super warm water. Enjoyed ourselves for a week, but we're back now, ready to go, and give you some more insight on exercise, nutrition, lifestyle, to help you live a little bit better, maybe a little bit longer. First thing I'd like to say is if you didn't get a chance to watch last week's podcast, you might want to check that out. We had Casey Washak on, who was one of the two brothers who created Fit in 42, which is just a great program to help people change their lives in just a short 42 days. So you might want to check that out. It's right on our Y.E.S page. And today, what I'd like to do is I'd like to talk about cardiovascular training. So when you're in the fitness business and you run into people or you see people, they're always talking to you about exercise, looking for advice. And so when I was on vacation, some people saw me out front doing some interval training, some running. We see them on the beach, they start to ask me some questions. You run into people at restaurants, they start talking about what they do, what they don't do. So as they find out what you do for a living, everybody wants to pick the exercise brain to help them see if they can, improve on what they're trying to do. So one of the things that always comes up is cardiovascular training. What should I do? This is what I do now. I get on the treadmill every day. I run for 45 minutes, or I go out on my bike and I'm riding the bike path every day or 3 times a week. So how much should I be doing? What should I be doing? How long should I be doing it for? How many times a week? How hard should I do it for? Well, that's all kinds of questions that need to be answered when you're doing any kind of training, whether it's strength training, your cardiovascular training, what you're doing for flexibility, what your nutrition is, all that kind of stuff. So today we're going to try to address just cardiovascular training. So the first thing we want to do is we want to try to really define what cardiovascular training is in some very simple terms. So what cardiovascular training is just exercising your heart, your lungs, and your circulatory system so that they work better. Like any other muscle in the body, if you work it correctly, it's going to improve if you do it correctly. So what's more important than your heart and your lungs and your circulatory system? There's nothing more important. So cardiovascular training is extremely important in an exercise program. And the way to do it and how you do it can be more efficient than other ways. You might be doing some stuff that doesn't make sense what we're trying to accomplish, and some of the stuff that you can probably do a little better for what you're trying to accomplish. So that's what cardiovascular training does. And what we're specifically trying to do is hopefully improving our aerobic capacity. So in simple terms, what aerobic capacity is the body's ability to convert oxygen to energy while you're exercising. The higher your aerobic capacity, the more fit you are. So that's the point of cardiovascular training. The other thing is that you can improve your aerobic capacity. So with training properly, you can improve your aerobic capacity, make yourself more fit, help you live a bit longer. Some of the other benefits are that it can reduce the risk for obesity, diabetes, heart disease, hypertension. All those things are not good for you, not good for your body. So some cardiovascular training is important. So we're going to define a little bit for you how much the American College of Sports Medicine recommends that you do for cardiovascular training. They recommend that you perform 30 to 60 minutes of moderate intensity activity 5 days a week, or most days of the week. So moderate intensity. So when you're walking or riding your bike, whatever it might be that you're doing, you should seem somewhat hard. Like you can still talk pretty easily, but it should seem like you're doing a little bit of work, but not too difficult. 30 to 60 minutes per day, 5 days a week, or most days of the week. They also say that you could do 20 to 60 minutes of high intensity training 3 days a week. So let's say you can't get in 5 days, you can work harder, maybe even shorter for 3 days. So that's the keys. You want to try to get that amount of work in to improve. Okay. Sometimes more isn't better. We've talked about that before. A little bit less is better than nothing. So you need to try to do something. Okay. And that's where to start at. So let's talk about which kind of training you should do. So your goal and what you're trying to accomplish will help you determine what kind of training that you're doing, plus some orthopedic issues, maybe what your health is at right now. Maybe you have knee problems, hip problems, back problems. Maybe it's different out, it's snowing outside or whatever it might be. So, there's different reasons to do different things. If you're just trying to improve your health, okay, you just want to get healthier, then you want to try to follow those guidelines, the American College of Sports Medicine. Just get your body into what we call steady state training, where you're just going to go along at one state, maybe get your heart rate up a little bit higher if you go up some hills, but there's no particular exercise prescription as far as the intensity of things like that. Just get out there, do some walking, do some moving, ride your bike, get on an elliptical machine, whatever it might be, and go for the 30 to 60 minutes 5 times a week, or 20 to 60 minutes of high intensity work 3 times a week. That's just the bare minimum to, help you live a little bit longer, help ward off disease, help you to feel better, sleep better, start to improve some of those parameters for diabetes, for heart disease, hypertension, and things like that. So that would be the bare minimum if you just want to get moving again, okay? That's where you want to be. But there's something out there right now that's called HIIT, or high intensity interval training. And I'd like to discuss that a little bit, because I think it's being done incorrectly. And I think people are working themselves harder than they should work themselves. And I'm thinking that typically in the exercise industry, people think they need to die and kill themselves every single time they work out to get any kind of results, which is absolutely incorrect. You should feel good when you're done working out. You should feel like you're energized, feel like you did something, and want to come back and do more, not be laying on the carpet dead when you're done with that. So to explain what high intensity interval training is, it's working real hard and then taking a rest. You're working real hard and taking a rest. Work real hard and take a rest. And that can be done in a couple different formats, okay? So one format is what we call fartlek training, where there's really no structure to the work interval or the rest interval. So for example, if you were out on the road, you might run from one mailbox to the next mailbox and then walk from that mailbox to the next mailbox, or from telephone pole. Every other telephone pole, you try to run a little bit faster or walk a little bit faster. That would be fartlek training, because there's no real science or timing behind everything. You're just going to go and then rest a little bit and go and rest a little bit. Is it better than just walking? It'll get you in shape faster. Interval training will get you in shape faster. You'll burn more calories during your workout. You'll burn more calories post-workout if you're doing it correctly. So it's a little bit better, a little bit more intense. You'll get better results, more results than just going out there and walking for whatever it might be, 30 minutes or 45 minutes. The next type of interval training that there is what we call fixed work and fixed rest. Many boot camps, many high-intensity interval training programs are based off of fixed work and fixed rest. So what does that mean? That means that you might work for 30 seconds and you'll rest for 30 seconds. And then you work again for 30 seconds and rest for 30 seconds. And go back and forth like that for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, even an hour, which is crazy to do that for an hour. But one of the problems with doing a fixed work and a fixed rest is, let's say, for example, we have 5 people exercising. Myself, someone who's 55 years old, male, who hasn't exercised in 30 years. We have a female who's 45 years old that runs a lot, okay? And then we have a 75-year-old female who moves, been exercising, can do this kind of exercise without hurting themselves. All 5 of us, if we work for 30 seconds, some of us after 30 seconds, maybe let's say we're doing some ropes or some slams or kettlebell swings or sprints, whatever it might be. After 30 seconds, some of us might not be tired. Whereas somebody who hasn't worked out in a long time after 30 seconds is super tired, okay? Working real hard. And now we're only giving you 30 seconds rest. 30 seconds rest might be okay for me because I'm a little bit more fit, or maybe the woman that runs. But for that 55-year-old male who hasn't worked out in 30 years, 30 seconds rest is not going to be enough time. Now we go to our next station and we go at it again. 30 seconds hard, 30 seconds hard. Well, for me, I'm still well rested. I'm not going to get tired in 30 seconds. That poor guy that did 30 seconds before he was 55 years old, he's going to go try and do 30 seconds again. He didn't even get to recover from his first segment, never mind his second segment. So fixed work and fixed rest, okay? Is it better? It's a little bit better than just going out and doing steady state, going out walking, okay? You're going to burn more calories. You're going to get more fit faster if you do some of this interval training. But fixed work and fixed rest is not the most efficient way to do it because it's not specific to your level of fitness. And most people cannot get enough rest in 30 seconds than what you need. You need more than 30 seconds rest. Most people do, especially our clientele who are 40 plus. 30 seconds is not enough. So what happens is that interval training, okay, 30 on, 30 off, you no longer can work real hard and you're not getting enough rest. So ideally when you do interval training, you want to work hard, okay, and then rest, come back down and rest. What that interval training is going to do for you is going to help you burn more calories post-workout, what we call EPOC, or excess post-oxygen consumption, the amount of calories we burn after our workout. So if we're getting that full true effect of working real hard and resting, we're going to improve our EPOC, or our calories that we burn after our workout, to 24 to 48 hours. Whereas if we do steady state, we just go out there and walk, okay, for 45 minutes. In the beginning, you might burn some calories 4 or 6 hours after you work out, but as you get more fit, even if you're working real hard, the amount of calories that you burn after you work out decreases. The other thing that happens with interval training when done correctly is you will produce hormones like epinephrine that burn fat. So if you're thinking about losing weight, okay, and burning fat, interval training is the way to go. Maybe not fixed work and fixed rest, and I'll tell you why in a minute, but interval training is the way to go. You also will improve your aerobic capacity faster and better because you're pushing yourself and you're pushing your systems to work harder. So if we're doing fixed work and fixed rest, like I spoke about a minute ago, working 30, resting 30, or working 40, resting 20, sure, that's a butt-kicking workout, and you will be super tired, but you're not getting that effect of interval up and down, up and down. Eventually, your heart rate's going to stay about the same. So you're no longer getting that effect of post-workout calories burned, or EPOC, because you're at a steady state, because your heart rate is going to stay the same, because you're not giving enough time to rest. So fixed work, fixed rest, better than just steady state if you're looking to burn calories and get fit faster, but it's not the best way. Another way to do it is to have what we call a variable work with a fixed rest. That means you'd wear a heart rate monitor. And that heart rate monitor, we're going to set it up so that you're going to reach about 90% of your heart rate max. So let's just go back for a second here. What's 90% of heart rate max? So heart rate max is based off of an equation, okay, which is, there's a few different equations, but the simplest equation to use is 220 minus your age. So you take 220 and minus your age. So let's say you're 60 years old. So 220 minus 60 is 160. So your age predicted maximum heart rate is 160. That number itself could be off as many as 12 beats, plus or minus. So there can be some leeway as you do this. Well, you take 160 and time to time 0.9 or 90% of that. And that is about 154, I think, 153, 154. That is the number that you would work to. So if you're doing your variable work, you're going to put your heart rate monitor on and you're going to work to that 90% number, maybe 153, 154 if you're 60 years old. And then from there, you're going to just decide that I'm going to rest for 30 seconds. And then I'm going to work again. And I'm just going to rest for 30 seconds or 45 seconds. Again, Just like on the fixed work and fixed rest, it doesn't work real well because the fixed rest may not be enough rest for you to get your heart rate down. It's not about always working as hard as you can. Rest is super important. So there's another way you can do it. You can do like a fixed work with a variable rest. So we're getting a little bit better in our programming by doing a fixed work with a variable rest. So that might be, I'm going to run 200 meters. I'm going to run halfway around the track as fast as I can. And then I'm going to stop and I'm going to rest. I'm going to rest to that, whatever it might be, 125 or 130, and then I'm going to go again. So now at least we're getting enough rest in between our sets. But in that 200 meters, I might be blasting my heart rate up to 155 or 160, all the way up to my max heart rate, which is extremely difficult to do, okay? And then coming back and resting. The problem with that is when you start to work above 90%, when you start to work above that threshold, we call anaerobic threshold, or ventilation threshold, you put yourself at risk for injury and you're not gaining any more from it. You're not going to get any more benefit from working that hard, okay? If anything, you're going to likely hurt yourself. So you put yourself at more risk for injury. So although fixed work and variable rest, wearing a heart rate monitor, is a little bit better, it's still not the best. The best is to do variable work in variable rest. So that would mean you're going to do the activity for whatever activity that you're doing, whether you're doing med ball slams, rope waves, clean and press with a sandbag, kettlebell swings, sprinting out on the track. You're going to work, okay? You're going to work for a time frame until you hit your 90%. And when you hit 90%, you rest. You just kind of can just stand there. You can have a little bit more of an active rest. You can jog a little bit or walk around a little bit, keep some blood flow. But you're going to rest until you come back down to that 20 or 30 beats below 90%. And then you're going to go again. So now we're working as efficiently as we can. You're working your body the way it's meant to work. We're working specific to that person. So if we have 5 different people working out, they're going to work as hard as they're supposed to work, and they're going to rest as much as they're supposed to work. And they're not going to work so hard that they're going to hurt themselves, and they're going to be inefficient, and they're not going to get so much rest that they're not improving your body. So if you keep between 60 and 90%, okay, you're going to get this effect of the interval training, working anaerobically. We'll talk about some energy systems in a minute, but working anaerobically. Plus, we're going to build our aerobic capacity because it's almost like we're continuing to work aerobically by keeping the heart rate up above 60% of heart rate max. So by doing that, you're still improving your aerobic capacity and aerobically because we're not letting the heart rate drop down too much. So what does that all kind of mean? What does that mean for us, okay? So, for example, someone comes in my door, they're 40 years old, they do cardio every day. I've been doing cardio every day for 2 decades now, and I can't seem to lose weight anymore. That's because when you're doing your cardio, your body's used to it now. You're not burning as many calories. You're not burning as many calories after your workout. When you're burning calories with cardiovascular work and you're restricting your caloric intake, you're on a diet, you're going to burn muscle. So it's going to make harder and harder for you to burn all calories. So truly, if you want to lose weight, the best way to do it is to do it variable work, variable rest with a heart rate monitor. Get on the treadmill. If you're running on a treadmill, if you're running outdoors, or if you're in some kind of class, work until your heart rate is where it needs to be, and then rest. Work and then rest. Right then and there, your body's going to kick in. You're going to start burning calories 24, 48 hours post-workout. You're going to start to get more aerobically fit. You're going to start burning more fat because you're working the way your body is meant to work to burn fat. The other way, your body's smart, gets used to it, gets used to that steady state training, so you're not going to burn anymore. You're just not going to burn fat anymore. The only people that really should not be doing interval training, the people that should not be doing interval training, okay, are people who want to really run a half marathon, and even then you're going to do some interval training with that. But a lot of your training is going to be steady state because that's what your goal is. You're being specific to the activity you want to do. But for the rest of this, do some interval training. It doesn't even matter if you get on the treadmill and it takes 30 seconds to get your heart rate up and it takes 4 minutes for your heart rate to come down. That is better. That is better for you than to just go along and do steady training. Whether you want to burn fat or whether you want to get more aerobically fit, sleep better, move better, all that kind of stuff. So interval training is really the way to go. So we can take a look a little bit about how long the intervals should last, okay? So unless we're trying to train a specific energy system, let's just leave it up to the heart rate monitor to decide. So some activities might get your heart rate up faster. Some activities might take you a little bit longer to get your heart rate up. So for example, when I do any type of battle rope work, it takes quite a few seconds for me to get my heart rate up. It might take me a minute, might take me a minute and a half. Once you start to get past 2 minutes, you're starting to lose that anaerobic effect. You're starting to lose that interval effect. So you really don't want to try to go past 2 minutes if we're doing this kind of work. It might take me a minute and a half to get my heart rate up. Whereas if I'm doing a jump squat, it might take 30 seconds to get my heart rate up. So again, fixed work, fixed rest doesn't make sense with that. Because I'm going to do ropes for 30 seconds, I'm not going to be tired. That's why the heart rate monitor is so important. In some activities, you're going to get your heart rate down faster. So if it's something like a USB or a sandbag clean and press where I'm using a lot of muscles and it's a heavy bag, it's going to get my heart rate up real fast. I'm going to use a lot of muscles, a lot of disturbance at the caloric level, down at the calories, at the cellular level. It's going to take me longer for my heart rate to come down than if I'm just doing the ropes, because the ropes I'm just using my upper body. So my heart rate might come down a bit faster. So again, fixed work, fixed rest doesn't work. It's not the best way. Using the heart rate monitor is the best way to get more fit and to burn more calories. So as we talk about how long it takes to get your heart rate up, your body has sort of 3 energy systems, okay? It has, and all 3 energy systems work all the time. It just depends on which energy system is more prominent at the time of the activity. So you have the phosphagen system, where it lasts, up to about maybe about 30 seconds, from 1 to 30 seconds. That's a real burst of energy. That's like if you sprint real fast, you're throwing medicine balls real fast. That first energy system is the one that's being used the most, and it's going to last for 30 seconds. The second energy system is the anaerobic glycolysis. That goes from around 30 seconds or so, all the way up to maybe about 3 minutes or so. So if you're working and you're getting tired between 30 seconds and 2 or 3 minutes, that's the energy system we're working. And then from 2 or 3 minutes on, all the way, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, you're working your aerobic capacity. It's the third energy system. So if you're thinking about your training and you want to be very explosive, you're not going to do aerobic work because you're not working the right energy system. So you're not going to do your interval work for that type of thing. If you're going to be explosive in a sport or something like that, you want to work real hard, real fast. So you want to use that first energy system. It only lasts for 30 seconds. So by varying the activities that you do and how long it takes for you to get your heart rate up, will work the different energy systems. So again, if I do jump squats and I'm wearing a vest, my heart rate might get up in 15 seconds. So I'm working that first energy system, and now I'm going to rest. But remember, I'm only going to rest down to about 60%, or about 130 to 135. And I'm going to go again. So I'm going to be working the phosphagen, and I'm going to be working the aerobic because I'm not letting my heart rate come down too much. But now I might take a different activity like the ropes that takes a little bit longer for me. It might take me a minute or a minute and 30 seconds for me to get my heart rate up. So now, although we use that first energy system, we're now worked into the second energy system. So when we talk about cardiovascular training, we really try to be very specific. We don't like to use the word cardio training. We like the word energy system training, because depending upon what you're doing, how long the activity lasts, how much rest you take, depends on the energy system that we're using. So To the average person, it probably doesn't really matter much to them which energy system that they're using, as long as they're using the first two energy systems. And if they're in a group activity like we do in our metabolic classes, some activities are going to take a little bit longer to get your heart rate up, some activities are going to be a little bit shorter. So we're going to get the whole gamut of training of all three energy systems. But if you're doing something specific for a sport or an activity, you want to make it specific. You want to make your energy system training specific to that particular sport. Okay? So if you're playing soccer, in soccer, how often do you run more than 30 seconds? Probably not very long. So you want to do your interval work, okay? Blast, less than 30 seconds. If you're not running, if you're doing some other kind of metabolic work, you're going to go for less than 30 seconds, and then you're going to rest. Because in soccer, what do? You run hard and you rest. You run hard and you rest. If you're training for soccer, you shouldn't be going out there and running for 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour. I'm going to do more miles. It's not what soccer is. If you watch the game of soccer, you should be doing interval training. Same thing with basketball. You should be doing interval training. Most sports are interval. Tennis is real short bursts, right? Real short bursts, and then they rest. Real short bursts, and then they rest. So think about what your goal is. So to determine what cardiovascular work you do or what energy system training you do depends upon your goal, like we talked about in the beginning. My goal is just to be fitter. I have some orthopedic issues. I haven't done anything in a long time. I need to start moving. So start moving. Get out there. Get your 30 to 60 minutes of walking in, whether it's jogging, whether you're riding a bike, whatever it might be, rollerblading. Let's start to feel better, move better, okay? Start to get blood flowing to the brain, which is very important for fighting off disease. And all the other diseases we talked about, obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, things like that. Well, let's say you want to become more fit because you want to run a 5K. Or you want to be more fit because, you want to be able to play basketball with your kids in the backyard more. Or you play tennis or something like that. Start to think about how long the interval is when you're training. So get that heart rate monitor on. Find activities that's going to get your heart rate up specific to the specific activity that you're doing, okay? And then let yourself rest. Let that heart rate come down. And then go back again, back and forth, back and forth. So now, you know what? Like many people do, they want to lose fat. I want to lose fat. So one of the main keys about losing fat is that we want to try to maintain our muscle mass and we want to burn fat. So let's be super efficient with this. Let's get that heart rate monitor on, okay? Work till your heart rate gets up to about 90%. And that can be adjusted a little bit. Check with your fitness pro, give me a call, email me, throw it on Facebook. I can help you figure out what your heart rate range is and how we adjust that to your level of fitness, because it could be off by as much as 12 beats plus or minus. So let's work real hard and let's rest. Let's work real hard, let's rest. Let's get some variety to the things that we do. It'd be the best way to help you burn fat. And because we're working with power, we're working hard and working fast like that, we're less likely to lose our fast twitch muscle fibers. So why are fast twitch muscle fibers so important? It's the fast twitch muscle fibers that we lose as we age, and we don't want to lose those. Slow twitch or more endurance, we don't see a tendency to lose those. So your body has two, we're going to keep it simple for today, we have two kinds of muscle fibers, fast twitch and slow twitch. And as we age, after age 30, if we're not addressing that, like everything else, you snooze, you lose. If we're not doing power exercises to address our fast twitch muscle fibers, we're going to lose them. Muscle fibers are the one things that help us affect our resting metabolic rate, the amount of calories we burn when we have nothing going on. We're not doing anything. So 80% of your resting metabolism is your organs. You have no control over them. 20% of your resting metabolism is your muscle. So we don't want to lose muscle. So after age 30, we don't want to lose those fast twitch muscle fibers. Because as we lose muscle fibers, metabolism slows down, makes it much easier to gain weight. Even though we're eating the same amount of food, we might even be eating less, but we've lost muscle, so our metabolism is slower. And when we hit age 50, it accelerates. That muscle mass deterioration accelerates. So really think about it a little bit. What you're trying to accomplish when you start to go work out. Don't just get on the machine and just go. Sure, it's better than doing nothing, but don't get discouraged if you're not losing weight or you're not improving with your performance, because what you're doing is not specific and it's not going to help. It's not going to help you do the things that you want to do. So if you come in and you sit down and meet with me, say, you know what, Chris, I want to lose fat. I want to lose fat. And this is what I'm doing. Cut my calories. I'm on that treadmill every day. Every morning I get up for half an hour. I'm on the treadmill. I'm working hard. I'm sweating. We've talked about this before. Sweating means nothing about the intensity of the workout. I sweat like crazy laying on the beach last week. I wouldn't burn any more calories than if I was not sweating. So sweating doesn't have anything to do with it. But you come in and you tell me I'm working crazy, I'm sweating, huffing and puffing, and I'm not going anywhere. Nothing's happening. Well, you're not doing what it takes to make the changes you want. You're not fueling your body correctly because you're cutting your calories probably too much. And you're doing steady state training, which is not best. You need to be doing some interval training. And specifically, you want to do variable work and variable rest and interval training. It's the best cardiovascular workout, the best energy system training workouts that you can do out there. So the next time you're out there working out, okay, and whether you're CrossFit, whether you're at a boot camp, whether you're at a facility that does metabolic classes, if we're not using heart rate monitors, we're not being efficient. Is it better than nothing? Yes. You're probably working too hard, okay? Probably working more than you need to work, harder than you need to work, putting yourself at risk for injury and not getting any more benefit out of it than if you just throw a heart rate monitor on her and work the intensity that you need to work. That's true high-intensity interval training. Not what you go out there and see. Let's work for 40 seconds and rest for 20, 40, 20, 40, 20, 40, 20. How can you rest in 20 seconds? You're not resting enough to be able to work real hard again for 40 seconds. Let's do that for 45 minutes. You can't do that for 45 minutes. You can't work real hard for 40 seconds and then rest for 20 and do that for 45 minutes. There's no longer high-intensity interval training. That's high-intensity steady state training, which goes back to what I said in the beginning. It's not efficient to get you in shape, and it's not efficient to help you burn calories. So I hope all that gives you a little bit of clarity as to, what you should be doing, how you should be doing it in your cardiovascular work, or we like to really refer to it as energy system training. So whether you're outdoors walking, going up and down hills, doing some fartlek training, jogging a little bit from mailbox to mailbox, that's better than just doing steady state training if you really want to improve your body, change your body. If you don't have a heart rate monitor, they're pretty inexpensive, about $50, super easy to use. If you need help again, let me know. I'll be more than happy to give you a hand figuring it out. But it'll become more efficient, much more efficient than just going out there doing I forgot already. Fixed work, fixed rest. Variable work, fixed rest, any of that, any kind of fixed work is not as efficient if you would just go about it and use your heart rate monitor. So that's all I have to talk about today. If you tune in next week, we're going to be talking to one of our clients, Sue Riley. Sue Riley is going to discuss her changes that she's been able to make, especially after breaking a hip. She's in her mid-60s. Hope she doesn't mind me saying that. Sue Riley has done one of our drop 2 gene sizes. Our D2S program is coming up. She's going to talk about that with a little bit. So next week's episode is very exciting, talking to someone that's made some real life changes. She's actually in the other room right now working out. She gets in here 3 or 4 times a week, works real hard, wears a heart rate monitor. So she's efficient in the workout and safe. Safety and efficiency are key to your exercises. Exercise program, especially as we get older. We all know that we get hurt. It takes longer to recover. It ruins the rest of our days, the rest of our weeks, and it stops us in our tracks. So let's be efficient. Let's be safe. Let's grab those heart rate monitors. Let's do some high-intensity interval training, but let's do it correctly. So that's all we have for you today. Thanks for watching. Next week, we'll give you more insights on how to get fit, feel younger, and live better. Have a great week. Thanks.